I used to rely on indicators to draw support and resistance for me, and I still had no idea what I was doing. My charts were messy, I was confused, and I kept taking trades that made absolutely no sense. I didn't know where to stop out of trades, I didn't know where price was going to gravitate to after it broke a level. I was just a mess. It wasn't until I learned how to read price myself that everything started to shift. In this video, I'm showing you exactly how I find clean, powerful levels without noise on a daily basis. So stay tuned. So I'm going to be using the replay feature for this example. But coming into the day, I like to look at the daily time frame first and mark out the previous day's highs and lows, because if we are above the previous day's high, there's a high chance that we continue higher. And if we're below the previous day's low, there's a chance that we continue lower. Doesn't always happen, but there's a chance. And then once I have marked out those levels, AMD sentiment right now at this point in time looks it wants to continue higher, but yeah, let's see how it plays out. Then once I am done on the daily time frame, I would move to the hourly time frame. On the hourly time frame, what I look for is key pivot areas where price changed sentiment and we started a new trend. And then I look to mark the opening print of that candle. I do not use extended trading hours, which is like the pre-market or post-market, to get levels. I only use the pre-market high and low for potential profit targets or entry points if it aligns with an area I am watching. So I will just go ahead and mark the pivot points I see on this AND chart as so. And if you have any questions, please ask me in the comments and I will. And any areas that you see that are really close, like if you find any levels that are really close to each other, what you can do, your previous day's high, your key level on the 1 hour are close. What I like to do is to mark it using this rectangle tool on TradingView as a zone. So this would now be a zone where I'm like, okay, if it does come back again, would it hold or would it break down? And then we try and start looking for trades towards the downside. For now, it's holding, and we'll just mark out the levels and see if we are able to see something that triggers a trade. Mark it out. And you want to do it for most recent price, right? Within the stock's daily trading range. You don't want to like mark 50 or 11 lines and be like, yeah, that's what I'm watching. It just causes a lot of confusion if you do that. And then when it comes to wicks, I still mark out wicks. I always mark out the wicks because the wicks are part of the story. Like they let you know, okay, that was a strong rejection. Like there were a lot of sellers or there were a lot of buyers trying to step in. So now that I have marked my levels, I'll then go down to the lower time frame and look at the pre-market highs and pre-market lows to see if the trade is going to set up for the downside or to the upside. We're on the 5-minute, and at that point, I will turn on the extended trading hours. And now what do we see? We see that we had a low gap up and price is currently holding above the previous day's high, which is what? Bullish. So what I will do right now is just mark out the pre-market high and the pre-market low. I actually have an indicator in TradingView that does this for me. I will show that in another video, but you can do it manually. Now that we have marked out our levels, we want to see if any of these key levels will be retested and we can find an entry, or else we'll just wait for a pullback and try to take the trade. If not, we just leave it alone and move on to the next thing. So I would just play this tape and see if we can find a trade. I haven't traded AMD in a long time, but we will see. Strong, very strong. Okay. Now I'm watching to see if we get a pre-market high retest. We did. Now I'm going to look to enter this trade right here. This candle stop loss will be right below pre-market high. And then my obviously risk to reward has to be a 2, right? 1:2. My R multiple will be a 2. I'm looking for a 1:2 at a bare minimum. So I'll go ahead and play and see if we can find an entry. Okay, gonna enter there. I was really quick. New high of the day. Look to maybe sell half. Retest of previous candles high. Okay, sold half there. As you can see, This name is very strong, right? I'm just gonna stop the replay, but this name is very strong, and like we were able to at least find a quick entry on a pullback with confirmation. This is just an example of how I go about my thought process, like key level on the daily time frame, then moving on to the hourly, and then looking at the lower time frames, pre-market highs and lows. Where can we find entries? Where can we enter on pullbacks? That's how I go about it. If you found this video useful, let me know in the comments like what you think. If you have any questions at all, please ask. I'm always happy to answer them. I would see you on the next video, and I really appreciate your support.